Hi friends, greetings to all. I am Ms. Niremati. I am here to present the making of Indian Constitution during the post-independent period. The Constitution of India embodies provisions providing basic democratic rights of human beings, including the person who are not Indian citizens. It also embodies provisions for the availability of institution for legislation, execution and judiciary for the fulfillment of these rights. It presents a vision for the social transformation and depending of democracy in India. Evolution of Constitution. The process of evolution of democratic constitution and rights had started much before the Constituent Assembly really made the Constitution of India. With the transfer of power from East India Company to the British Crown, the British Parliament got involved in managing affairs of India. For achieving this purpose, from 1858 till 1935, the colonial government introduced certain features of constitution or rules of governance through different acts. Government of India Act of 1858, Indian Council Act of 1861, Indian Council Act of 1892, Indian Council Act of 1909 is also called as Minto-Morley reforms, and Government of Indian Act of 1919 is also called as Montague-Chelmsford reforms. Finally, Government of Indian Act of 1935. The first attempt by Indians themselves to prepare a Constitution of India was made in the Nehru Report at 1928. Earlier effort by the Indians was made in the name of Swaraj, which means self-rule, by the leaders of Indian National Congress during the non-cooperation movement in India. It was in 1934, a few years after the preparation of Nehru Report, that the Indian National Congress officially demanded a constitution of Indian people without the interference of outsiders. According to Cripps Mission 1942, dominion status was being given to India after Second World War. Once the Second World War ends, an elected body was being set up in India for framing the constitution. The Indian states would participate in the constitution making body. Almost all the parties and the section in India rejected the proposal given by the Cripps Mission. According to the Cabinet Mission of 1946, the Indian states and the British provinces would combine to form a Union of India would be established consisting of 389 members. 14 members from the Constituent Assembly, major political parties would form an intermediate government, and a representative body would be formed named as a Constituent Assembly. Until the Constitution was framed, the Constituent Assembly would act as a dominion legislature. Until the Constitution was framed, India would be administered as per the Government of Indian Act of 1935. Formation of the Constituent Assembly. The members of the Constituent Assembly were elected by the provisional legislative assemblies. However, differences between the Indian National Congress and the Muslim League arose on interpretation of group clashes. The Constituent Assembly first met on December 9, 1946. It was boycotted by the Muslim League and it functioned without the participation of Muslim League. Background of the Constituent Assembly. The Constitution of India was drawn up by the Constituent Assembly. Took almost 3 years, and exactly it took 2 years, 11 months and 18 days to complete the task of drafting the Constitution for independent India. The Assembly first met on 9th December 1946. In this meeting, Acharya J.B. Kripalani requested Dr. Sachinananda Sinha to be a temporary chairman of the House, and the members passed a resolution of 10th December 1946 for the election of a permanent chairman. And on 11th December 1946, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the permanent chairman of Constituent Assembly. The Assembly had met for 11 sessions. Draft was published in January 1948 and the country's people were asked for their feedback and input with 8 months. The last session was held during 14 to 26 November 1949 and the Constitution was passed and adopted by the Assembly on 26 November 1949. They were all the committee members. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar as a chairman for the drafting committee, and Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru as a chairman for the Union Constitution Committee and the Union Powers Committee, and Dr. Rajendra Prasad as a steering committee, chairman for steering committee and rules of procedure committee. And these are all the remaining committees which was being formed to make the Indian Constitution. The preamble of the Indian Constitution. The Constitution of India begins with the preamble and it contains the ideals, objectives and the basic principles of the Constitution. The salient features in the Constitution have evolved directly and indirectly from these objectives which flow from the preamble. The salient features of the Indian Constitution. Lengthiest written constitution, drawn from various sources, blend of rigidity and flexibility, federal system with unitary bias, parliamentary form of government, synthesis of parliamentary sovereignty and judicial supremacy, rule of law, integrated and independent judiciary, fundamental rights, directive principles of state policy, fundamental duties, Indian secularism, universal adult franchise, single citizenship, independent bodies, emergency provisions, three-tier government, cooperative societies. Summary. The making of the Indian Constitution largely consisted of two phases, 1858 to 1935 and 1946 to 1949. With the transfer of power from the East India Company to the British Crown, the British government introduced different elements of governments through different acts. After the Indian National Congress emphasized the need for making the Constitution of India by their own Constituent Assembly, the changed political situation following the Second World War and the changed government in Britain, and the British reluctantly realized the urgency for establishment of the Constituent Assembly of India for Indians. The Constitution is an embodiment of principles of liberty, democracy and secularism with some elements of social democracy. It ensures the protection of cultural, linguistic and religious rights of individuals and community. Thank you.